Rock and roll Chicago, rock and roll Chicago, my hometown. Well, I was born in the city, gonna rock your city, Chicago. Chicago rock and rollers are the best you're ever around.
Hey, this is Paul Martin
And Ray the Roadie.
for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
Oh, oh, oh.
Excuse me?
It's Christmas week.
It is.
It's Christmas and everybody is festive, donning their apparel.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's going on? Have you been a good boy all year, Paul?
I've been excellent. Santa's bringing me lots of good stuff.
Awesome.
How about you? I know you have been very good.
I believe I have, except there is a bag of charcoal briquettes sitting at the end of my driveway. I'm not sure what that's all about.
Yeah, well, that happens.
It does. It does. So what's on tap for Christmas week?
This week we have the Band Sundance for our holiday pleasure.
Very nice.
They've been around for a long time. They've been around for almost 40 years, or about 40 years, and they're a horn band, another horn band.
There we go. Horn bands rock.
Yes, they do. And let's get to it and see what they have to say for themselves. We talked with Jim and Henry and Angela, and let's see what they have to say.
Let's go.
Hey, everybody. We're here in beautiful downtown Joliet, Illinois at the Illinois Rock and Roll Museum on Route 66 in the Inner Sanctum. We're here with the Band Sundance. We have Jim, Angela, and Henry. How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Great, thanks.
We're doing good. We just did a gig last night, so we're kind of a little shot today, but we're feeling good, though.
Good. Excellent. Excellent.
Where'd you play last night?
We did a party over at Oak Brook Hills Hilton, a Christmas party for the Chamber of Commerce.
Parties are fun to do, aren't they?
They're the ones that are paying these days.
That's right. That's right. Well, it's good to see you guys. And so tell us a little bit about the band. Well, first of all, let's start with how you get started.
Well, I started the band in 1980. So this summer it'll be 40 years, and going back into the 70s, I was like anybody else. I was just a horn player in a band, and I got to a point where I was getting tired of being told what I was going to make and what I was going to play and this and that. I always thought I knew everything. I was very stubborn, very pig-headed. So my wife at the time said to me, "Well, what you should do is, since you think you know everything, why don't you just start your own band?" And I'm like, I never thought of that. So myself and one of our ex-members, Chris Eastwood, who now plays with the band La Cara, happened to be over at the time and said, "Jim, let's do it. We'll pull what money we have and see what we can get." So we bought a real cheap Shure Vocal Master PA, and we talked to some other members of bands we played with, including Joe Richards, who was a bass player from the Hounds. We got him, and we got a buddy of mine, Tom, and another buddy, JP, Jimmy Pierce, who's playing a lot of jazz gigs today. And we said, let's see what we can do with this. We put it together. We started rehearsing. We did about 3 jobs the first year, and then we hooked up with a sound module, who was a wedding consultant firm, and they said, "Hey, you guys got a cool sound." They said you probably could do real well in this market. And we said, "Man, can we make some money?" Because we're all broke, and we were all broke at the time. And he said, "Yeah, I think so." At that time, we're talking $400 or $500 a night, and that was a lot of money coming from when you were making nothing. So we did it, and the next year we went right up to about 85 jobs. So we hit the mother lode, and the biggest reason was at that time in the wedding market, most bands did not have horns. We had 2 horn players. So the Blues Brothers movie came out the year before, and right away we said, well, let's learn all these tunes. They sound like fun party tunes. So we said, okay, so we probably learned maybe 12, 14 Blues Brothers tunes, anyone we could do, since none of us really could sing well. And today, to this day, we still don't. So we said, okay, let's do that. And we did them. And when we put them on tape and clients came to see it, the movie still being fresh in everybody's mind, they said, oh my God, I got to have this band. They're playing all these cool tunes. And we rode that wave maybe for a decade, at least a decade.
Well, the 80s, the early 80s was a great time for bands as it was. A lot of places to play, every club had a band. Late 70s anyway. You could go and see a band on a Monday night. You go see off Broadway and see Cheap Trick somewhere on Wednesday night.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, back in those days, I remember Styx playing, at Moraine Valley College.
Right.
I saw him at Triton College. Rufus played my high school prom. I went to Argo High School and graduated in '73. I know Henry opened up for them at a gig of the band he played with. So, we grew up seeing all these people. Ides of March, I seen them a million times when they were starting out,
Right.
and it was the impetus to have a band and to want to play. They're all our influences to this day. While we wanted a band and wanted to do what they're doing. Of course, the band Chicago was another big influence.
Right.
It's part of the reason why I went to DePaul, because I had stars in my eyes. I figured, hey man, this is where these guys went to school. I think I'm going to go there, and who knows?
Yeah, something might rub off.
Well, yeah. Well, unfortunately, it didn't, because I'm still here. But you'd be surprised how many musicians were at that school with that same thought in their mind, that they were going to find that magic potion. And the cool thing about that was the band Chicago would come back to DePaul and they put a concert on. We never even knew this was going to happen. We'd be in the lunchroom having lunch, and we always had different bands play once a week. One day it was Chicago.
No kidding.
And they just played.
Wow.
They played about 4 songs. I'm sitting there eating my lunch, doing my homework, and they're setting up about 10 feet in front of me.
Wow.
I'm like, holy cow! And this is when they were at the top of the charts. This is
yeah.
like 77, 76 when this all happened. So that's all cool. That's what all was the impetus for having my own band and trying to do fun music, cool music.
And so now you've taken it to this, right? Now you've had some different member changes along the way, right?
Well, you're right. It's tough to keep a band going, as you know yourself. People come and go all the time, and sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. Some of your friendships, wives, I mean, husbands, whatever you want to call it.
Significant others.
Yeah.
It's significant others. It all comes and goes through the band. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, the band kind of runs your life. Your life is centered around the band. Right. And people don't understand that unless they're a musician, but it has to.
Right.
To be successful, it has to. You know that.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So has it been the band Sundance since day one?
Yes.
Where did the name come from?
Well, when we started the band, our first sax player, Chris Eastwood, who I mentioned before, his brother was a graphic artist, and his name was Peter. And we said, Peter, can you help us come up with a name? We had all these names like Arcade and all kinds of funky names, and he came up with this name Sundance, and then he drew a picture of a sun in the background, and it was some really cool artwork, and we all looked at each other and said, oh, what the hell, let's go with it, and we did. And over the years, we always wanted to change it, to come up with something more, and we kept saying, but the name's been out there now.
Right.
There's people calling us, knowing who we are, and we were always afraid to do that. And so we just kept it and said, oh, what the hell, we're just going to keep it, and this is what it is, And we went with that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that.
But one interesting story, we played a wedding for a client back in the 80s. And she called me about 8 years later and said, hey, do you remember me? Of course, I said yes, though I didn't. Right. And she said, I'm getting married. I said,
this is going out on the air. She's going to hear this now.
Well, I'm not giving any names, just so you know. I'm not giving any names. So she says, well, I'm getting married again. And I'm like, and you really want the same band? She goes, well, the guy I married was a bum. I don't like any of his friends. She goes, the only good thing about my first marriage was the band I had at my wedding. She goes, will you guys play I said, if we're open, sure. And we did it. Yeah. And I haven't heard from her, and this was 20 years ago. So I'm assuming everything was cool.
Right. Well, yeah. She didn't go for number 3 yet.
No, geez, I hope not.
Second time a charm.
Yeah. Because if she would have went for the third one, then she could have said, well, I think it was the band that's messing this up.
I see. So, Henry, tell me about your excursion through the years with the band. Now, how long have you been with the band?
I've been with Sundance 4 years.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm. And now, but now, I know before we started, Jim said that you guys played together years before.
Yeah,
that,
and
right?
Utopia. Utopia was a band we had at Northern Illinois University. Was made up of. I was in the School of Music there. Was made up of some of the people in the jazz ensemble, and Jim became our trumpet player at some point, and I knew Jim, and this is back in the mid 70s, like 74, 75. Wow. Yeah, there's when we had real long hair, or actually had hair at that time.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, but I met Jim back then, and we played a bunch of gigs in that band, a lot of fun times. We were young and we were crazy, and there's a lot of cool stuff that went on. But strange thing about Sundance and me was I had seen Sundance play probably about 4 or 5 times and never realized it was Jim up there, which was strange. So I connected with Jim, over 4 years ago on Facebook, and we kind of went back and forth and go, oh my God, we haven't talked to each other in 40 years. So I had an opportunity to come and play with them, and that first gig was at the Lockport Moose at their Moose Fest, and we played outside, and we started outside, went inside, back and forth, but that was my first time, and it's a nice environment because every band has their little issues, but this is like family in this band, and we're all pretty close to one another, and it's just a lot of fun. I'm having a lot of fun with this band. The most fun I've had in a band in quite a few years.
Very good, very good. Yeah. Now, Angela, tell us your involvement with the band.
That's an interesting story. I went out to see the band with another person, and didn't know Jim. I knew the singer, the female singer. So I went to see her.
Who was the other person you went to?
It was an old boyfriend. Remember, this is going on the air.
Other.
Yeah. So I met Jim and didn't really think anything of it. And then that kind of ended. And then Jim started contacting me. And
I see.
He convinced me to go see a concert with him. It was Chicago and Earth, Wind & Fire, which were my 2 favorite bands,
nice.
which he found out,
Cool.
and took me to see the concert, and we've been together ever since. So
I see. How long has that been?
We've been married 6 years, but we've actually been together 10.
Oh, okay.
So,
Very
and then
good.
Jim, of course, persuaded me to come sit there, and that was boring. So then he said, well, take pictures, and that was getting boring. So then I said, if you want me to come, I need to have a mic. So he gave me his, and then I said, nope, that's not going to work. I need my own mic in the center. And so that's where I'm at now. So it's a lot of fun. We do have a good time, and we are like family, and it's tiring,
Right.
but it is fun. So
Right. Now, you guys are a cover band.
Yes.
We've established that. But what kind of stuff do you do?
Well,
I mean, obviously, you started with the Blues Brothers stuff.
I still play Blues Brothers
Right.
stuff.
Sure.
Our motto is: if you can dance to it, if you can sing to it, if you can groove to it, we can play it.
Right.
I mean, it's A to Z. I mean, we're constantly learning stuff for people's parties or weddings or functions. We're always learning club stuff. But we've always managed. The hard thing that's hurt us over the years was the fact that too many people thought, well, this is a wedding band. We don't want to hire them for a fest. And then we did a fest. Other clients would say, well, I don't know if I want them to do a wedding. They're more of a fest band. So, and that's probably hurt us more over the years than anything else. My motto was, we're going to play it all so we can always be playing, because this is how we make our living, and we've been fortunate to be averaging anywhere from 70 to 100 gigs a year, going on 40 years. And that hasn't been easy, but the secret to that is being able to play lots of different types of music.
Right.
And you got to have good musicians to do that, because some guys are good at one. Some guys can play funk great, but they can't play rock. Or some guys can play jazz, but they can't play this. So it's been tough finding people that fit what you want to do.
Right.
So we'll rehearse and we'll learn a song and say, this song will only come out when we do a
Wait, you
wedding.
rehearse?
Well, we do rehearse about a couple times a year.
Right.
most of the songs are learned on stage.
Right.
I mean, at our age,
I know.
you're right. You're right.
How do we end this?
I mean, no, I agree with them.
That's it. How's the song end? We got a beginning, we got an end. That's it. We're good in the middle.
It's got to be an ending, right?
The way we learn most of our songs is we'll say, hey, this is a cool song. Who wants to sing it? Good, it's yours. Okay,
Yeah.
you're going to sing background. Oh, you want to take a solo? Good. Okay, let's work it up. We'll try it at the gig this weekend. Then we'll talk about it. Sometimes it comes off, sometimes it don't.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But there's always that one odd song that needs a lot of stuff in it that we'll have to get together to rehearse because they want it or something. But you know, we've got several books of music that we'll use for a fest, for a club, or we'll use for a wedding or a private party or a corporate function. It all depends what it is.
Right.
But it means a lot of work on our part, but it keeps the band working. And what I've learned is, over the years, as long as you have work and you've got money coming in, you'll always have a band. And that's what's kept this band going. I mean, I've had people leave because they said we work too much. I've had people leave, and I've had people leave who said you don't work enough.
Right.
And now that we're all getting older, we've all had families, we've all had kids now, it's been hard to keep it going. Mm-hmm. But now, in some of our cases, we have our kids playing in the band. So hopefully they'll keep it going. My son, Tony, plays trumpet with us. Our guitar player, Joe's son, Frank, played with us for 3 or 4 years. And who knows who's next?
Right. Now you mentioned some of the musicians. Henry, we know you play trombone, right? And Jim, you play
Trumpet and keys.
Trumpet and keys. And Angel, you're a singer. Who are some of the other members of the band?
Well, our lead guitarist is Joe Alongi, and Joe's also probably our best male vocalist in the band, I would say. And he's played with many bands before he hooked up with us. He's also very versatile. He plays drums, he plays bass, he plays guitar, he sings lead, and he can do any of those full time.
You hate those guys, don't you?
I mean, but you love having them. Though.
Yeah.
You love having them
on your side. Yeah.
And when Joe first came with us, he was our drummer.
Oh wow!
And then when our guitar player at the time had passed away, we said, "Okay, Joe, you're now the guitar player."
Wow.
And we were like, "Holy cow, man!" You know. And then there's times he's played bass.
Right.
And he's always sang.
Now, who did he come from? What were some of his bands?
He played with a band called Elite, which was a very popular wedding band in the 80s and the 90s. And he played with a lot of other bands out of the north side.
Oh, okay.
And then we had Roy DeGangi. We have Roy DeGangi on bass guitar. And he's only our second bassist in 40 years.
Wow.
Our first bassist was Joe Richards, who I've lost contact with him. Man, I hope he hears this and he gets in touch with me because I miss him dearly. He was a great guy. He played with the band called The Hounds in the 70s.
Sure.
And we managed to get him. And he was with us for about 12 years before he left. And then we got Roy. And Roy did a lot of playing with, he did some playing with Perry Danos. And Perry's now in Nashville.
Right.
And he also did a lot of playing in Vegas. He was in Tahoe for a long time. Then he relocated back to Chicago, and we got him in the band. Our drummer now is Darren Marino, who's played with a lot of metal bands, believe it or not, out of the north side. Hans and something. You remember what it was called?
Man, it was such a cool name. Yeah,
it was a cool name. I can't remember it. But you'd never know it. The guy is so versatile. He can play anything. It doesn't matter if it's a big band tune or it's a funky tune or just a good pop tune or a rocker. He's an excellent drummer and a great singer too.
Right.
So he's the newest guy in the band. We're real happy to have him. And one of our lead vocalists, Cherry Pineda, sings with other bands too. I know one of the other bands she sings with is called Soda, and she's sung with a lot of different people.
Oh, okay. I know Soda. Yeah, I know Soda real well.
And she's one heck of an entertainer and a great vocalist.
Yeah, I probably mixed her then because when I was back in my mixing days.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've been around for a long time too. Right. That's right. And we whenever we use a sax player, we use Josh Shapiro. Josh has played off and on with us since going back to the late 90s. He actually replaced Chris Eastwood, who was our first sax player, who just basically got burned out on the whole scene that we were doing. And now he's back into doing more of an original thing, which is cool. So I know he's everybody's really happy, and he's a very talented musician. But Josh plays with us a lot, and Josh plays with everybody and anybody you can think of in the city, and then Henry's our trombone player. We also use my son Tony on trumpet, who plays a lot with us too. And we've got so many parts that come and go. These are probably the most
nucleus,
the nucleus of the band is But Henry was telling you about that first band we played with together in the 70s. There was that band Utopia had a lot of people who went on to do some pretty cool things. The bass player Mark Gardner wound up being the bass player for The Kind.
Okay, sure.
Right.
And Mark Scheer, who was the lead vocalist, has done a lot of recording with Jim Peterick and doing projects with him.
Yeah, I know that name. I don't know if I've ever met him or not. But
He's
I know the name.
one heck of a vocalist, and he was back then, and we just reconnected about a year or two ago. We didn't, we're like, oh my God.
Social media.
Yeah, social media brings us all together.
Yeah, we found each other.
I think we had somebody else, Dave Nuccio, who was the keyboard player, has got the New Invaders. That's his band. He's a big part of that, and I think he's a college professor.
Yeah, he's at Joliet Junior College
Teaching
in the
now.
music department there.
And the interesting about Dave is Dave and I went to school together from about kindergarten on. And we played in bands in the 70s before we went our own ways,
Right.
So there was a lot of people that came and went in and out of that band that we were from.
Utopia.
Right.
Yeah.
Now you talked about some of them doing some original projects. Have you guys ever considered doing any original material? Or?
We never did. We never have. Guys in the band have done things on their own, but as collectively as a band, we've always been a cover band.
Right.
It's just.
It's great.
Different stages of our life,
right?
When we're all looking to buy houses, after a while, we knew we had to prove income.
Right.
You know that story.
Sure.
We had kids. There's college bills to be paid.
Right.
So it was always about having to make sure we were making something, and the only way to do that were to play gigs that paid.
Right.
And we kind of almost let that run us, and that was good and bad, because that burned a lot of people out musically,
right?
And financially, it made a lot of people happy. I mean,
right.
So that's a double-edged sword there, actually.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So, what do you find yourself doing more clubs or fests or weddings or?
Well, now we're doing probably more fests and private parties. Okay. In the 80s, we were a huge wedding band. I think around 91 or 90, we peaked at did about 110 weddings one year.
Wow.
Now, we made a boatload of money doing it, but we were killing each other. I mean, the wedding market's tough. Because you have to play a lot of music you don't like.
Right.
And because it's not about what you like or what you want to play, it's about what they want to hear.
Right.
And that wore on us. So
do you find it more nowadays than it was back in the 80s?
That's changing now. Yeah. Today's wedding client is really hip. They want a party. They don't want that clean look and precise that. They want a band that gets up there and jams and that can lay it all on the line. They want it to be crazy and wild. They want it to be a night to remember. And if you go to our website, thebandsundance.com, you'll see a lot of videos we post from weddings on there where you got the bride playing the cowbell and the groom's got a tambourine. He's running around the stage. Girls are doing flips on the floor. I mean, this is what they want at their weddings.
Right, so, but I'm talking about music-wise.
Oh, music-wise. Well, no, we can get around with more cool stuff today than we could back in the day.
Yeah,
do you incorporate the hokey pokey and chicken dance in all your shows?
No more. We used to all the time, but now we don't. We've deleted that
since I've been with the band.
And you know what's nice about what you just said? They don't ask for it anymore.
No, I don't think they know it.
And I'm glad, and I hope they never find it because I don't want to play it anymore.
No, but I bet they ask for the Cupid Shuffle, right?
Well, yes, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now here's how we get around that. When we do a wedding, I DJ the breaks.
Right. I was going to ask you that.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And the band says, "Thank God, Jim, please DJ that too. We don't want to learn that." I said, "No problem, man."
Right.
And everybody's happy. Everybody's dancing. They're, we're playing. We're making some dough. Everybody's happy. It's a good thing.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But we are.
That's a very wise move to or have a DJ if you didn't do it yourself, or play the music in between. Have a set list made up.
Exactly. And we do that. We custom make everybody's party.
Right.
They'll tell me everything they want, everything they don't want, and I'll put together playlists that the band will play or what I'll DJ, and everything will be the exact way you want. And the nice thing is, when we do private parties, Angela takes photos and videos of these parties. We throw them on a flash drive, and we give them to the clients.
You weren't supposed to give out my secret.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to. Yeah, we found, since we let that out, other bands are starting to do that now.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like a nice added bonus.
Right.
It is fun because the bride is amazed because normally their photographer leaves
Right.
like 9 o'clock.
Sure.
Or at a private party, they don't have a
I
photographer.
see.
So I take lots of pictures and videos when they're going crazy, and then I send it to them, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, that was really cool," you know.
is cool.
So then they have that,
Right.
later on for remembrance.
Tell them what the one lady said to you.
Which one, lady?
We had this one bride's mother said, the best pictures from our wedding were the ones that you guys sent us. They were better than the photographers. That doesn't happen all the time, but we were told that just recently.
No,
And
I can see that. Like you said, the fun part of the night, right?
Well, right, and I'm not a photographer, but we did buy a decent camera. I put it on auto. I push the button, and it takes great pictures, So and videos, and you get these people doing some wild stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And then they get to go back and look and say, "Oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that," or "Hey, that was really cool," So it is fun, and we wait till they come back from their honeymoons, or if they have a private party, and we find out when's a good time to send it to them,
Right.
and then we just send it, and they have it forever. So.
Right.
But but the last couple of years,
You start charging for that,
well, they're really paying for that in the price I'm giving them. I'm just telling them I'm giving it to them. Of course, I'm joking. I don't mean that. I don't know who's going to hear this.
No,
but
we'll edit that out.
good. Okay, that's good. But getting back to your question about what you mostly play, I look at the last couple of years, we did about 60, 70 gigs. I'd say we did about maybe 15 weddings. One year we were back up to 20. We did about maybe 15 clubs. We're starting to do a lot more festivals, private parties, like we did the rock and roll fundraiser at the Forge.
Right.
We're doing a lot of things like that now, park concerts. And when we do those kind of things, we can take more chances and play a blue chip casino. We do the casino. We also do the Joliet Harrah's here, the one in Aurora we're supposed to be doing. So we used to do Harrah's when they had bands. So we've done that whole circuit. Back in the 80s, we did the circuits, where you played 5 nights a week to all hours of the morning.
Right.
So we've been all through those wars, But it's a nice mix now. Now it's a real nice mix, and I think we're happy with that because it's nice to say, hey, we got a weekend where we can dress down and we can jam and open up the sound and play a little bit. Then the next week and say, man, it's Christmas, we need some money. Oh, we got a party coming up. We're gonna make some money tonight. So it really is a nice mix. And the most important thing is you gotta have members in the band that care about what you're doing.
Oh, yeah.
Like Henry, he's one of our newest additions.
He doesn't care at all.
No, he does not. No. What he does for
He
the
hasn't
band.
reached the caring stage yet.
Yes, I haven't hit anything.
Yeah. What he does for the band is priceless. I mean, I appreciate so much what he does. What Angela's doing with the pictures and things. Joe, our guitar player, he handles all the PA, and he's always on top of what's going on with that. Roy's always putting his nose in to try to make things better. Our drummer, Darren, who lives out in Huntley, Well, most of our jobs are on the south side.
Wow.
He's always the first one there, the last one to leave. He'll never leave until everybody's equipment's in their car. I mean, we've just got people that are just that you like to have in the foxhole with you in the trenches, as they say.
Right.
And you got to have that to keep the band going. I can't do it all myself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to have. It's a collective effort.
Sure it is.
It's pretty cool what we do, I think, in playing gigs too. Primarily the way we choose songs. We don't have a set list for most of the gigs that we do. Jim calls the songs, and it's perfect because it's based on what's happening then. You know, you're playing the right songs for the moment. And I'd never played in a band that didn't use a set list before, so it was really a great way to kind of interact with the audience and give them what they want. Really.
Is he like a third base coach? Sends you to signals.
Oh yeah, most of the time.
It's interesting that Henry says that. I used to put set lists together only to play the first couple songs and say, man, this ain't working. Forget it. I'm going to call what I'm calling.
Right.
And the guys in the band, I don't think they like that I do that, but they're on their toes. They're paying attention all the time. And I have a knack for just knowing what to call.
Right.
And I think it's just the years of doing it. It's just...
Oh, it's a feeling. If you get that feeling, it doesn't feel good. You want to move in a different direction.
And that was part of the reason why I wanted to start my own band. Was when I played other bands in the 70s. I was always sitting there. I was the big jerk of the band. You know, that one jerk who said, "Why are we playing that? We should be playing this."
Yeah.
Well, I would never call that tune. And that's when I was said, "Well, just shut up." And I would get fired. I get fired from a number of bands, and it's because they said, "This guy's a jerk. This guy's a big pain in the ass. Get him out of here."
And now you're damn proud of it, right?
Now you're right. I'm damn proud of it. But it keeps everybody on their toes, and for some reason, I just can't go with a playlist because I never can stick to it.
No, Jim is very good at reading the crowd.
Absolutely.
It's amazing because he'll just he'll. Of course, we spread the word, down the line. We're gonna play. We're gonna play Uptown Funk, or we're gonna do this, and all of a sudden he'll go, "No, wait, no, we're not doing that one. Hold on, we're doing this one." So he can read a crowd, which is really, really good, because like he says, if you got a set list and you're just going through the set list and the people are not interacting with you, it's no fun.
Sure.
Right.
It
especially
is no
a
fun.
wedding and stuff, right?
Well, yeah. Like the Christmas party last night, it was kind of, we were trying to get him to go, and then we hit a song and bam, it was like they went wild.
Yeah.
Yeah, we changed directions, and that was Jim, saying, well, let's do this. So just for him to be able to read that crowd and know what to go with. Sometimes at the far end, they can't hear where we're going, but we get the point across. So
You can't do Tom Jones if they want AC/DC.
Right.
That's right.
And we play both, by the way.
I mean, see, that's the thing about
Back
this
to
band.
back?
Oh, we've done that. We've done that.
We certainly can.
I mean, we can play Frank Sinatra, Tom Jones, Dean Martin.
And they go into Metallica.
Yeah, and then we'll turn around. We'll do AC/DC. We'll do Bon Jovi. Then we'll do stuff like Sublime, The Killers. I mean, any of that stuff. And then we'll turn around and do Chicago, Van Morrison, Aretha Franklin. I mean, it doesn't matter. Whatever the crowd wants, we'll find something. We've got something there. Sing-alongs. If they want to dance, we'll do an Earth, Wind & Fire medley, or a Bruno Mars medley. Any of that stuff we'll do. It doesn't matter. We have it.
So you stay pretty contemporary with the music you're doing.
Yes, we do. We do. Yeah.
Well, with the girl singers and having the chance to have a guy singing and a girl singing, you can probably get by with doing that.
Well, it's interesting you bring that up. Everybody in the band sings lead.
Oh, okay.
Everybody. And that's one of their prerequisites that we have in the band, is that everybody could sing. And like the last couple of weeks, 3 of us have been sick. I'm still getting my voice back. She lost her voice. Roy, our bass player, lost his. So that meant Henry singing more, Joe singing more, Darren singing more, and Cherry singing more. Hey, you got 4 other vocalists. There's no need to cancel the gig or not do this song or that song.
Right.
And a month before that, Joe was sick. So we all covered his songs. And then because you have everybody who can sing, and vocals are so important today, as you know. People... that's what gets them to sing along. You got to have the vocal thing happening, and I think we do. And I know a lot of the successful bands out there playing our circuit do also.
Right.
So yeah, that's a big important thing.
Right. So go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say. Earlier you said you're on the internet at bandsundance.com.
Yes.
Where else could people find you?
Or on Facebook, the Band Sundance. We've got YouTube videos, and most of it is cover stuff that we've either done at fests or at somebody's private function.
Okay.
It's all over the place.
They say you stay mostly in Southside. Are you from Southside or?
Yeah, I've been a Southsider my whole life. Yeah. Henry, I know, has been a Southsider. She's a Westsider.
Yeah.
She's basically from the North Lake area.
Oh, okay.
that would be Melrose Park.
Melrose Park. I'm sorry.
Over by there.
As a child, I grew up in Argo Summit, but then we call it something else these days, but I won't put that on the air. And then I just moved further south as I got older. But I've never left the South. I know Henry's basically from Joliet, I think.
Well, France first, but yeah.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Pardonnez-moi, monsieur. How do you follow that?
So we find you. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. You find you on Facebook and what about Instagram? Anything? No.
Yeah, I'm still trying to figure all that stuff
Yeah,
out.
that's
because
all right.
I'm the person that does it.
That's
and-
okay. I know. I'm with you there.
Yeah,
I'm with you there.
You know, so I do have an Instagram account. I
Yeah.
just not real familiar
There's
with
a
it.
lot of that stuff out there.
Yeah, there is. There's so many places to be, and you know, it's hard to stay on top of everything because it changes so often.
Right,
you know,
right.
technology just is out there like crazy.
Well, Facebook's certainly a good place to be.
Yeah, and Facebook
yeah.
helps us a lot. So.
Right.
Does quite
I
a bit.
do remember when I first started dating Jim, and Facebook had, you know, I had my Facebook page, and I'm like, hey, is your band on Facebook? He's like, Facebook, what's that? So I will take credit for the band's Facebook page because I'm the one that
There
started
you go.
it. And I do maintain the website. So I do a little bit of the technology part. Henry is awesome with our Facebook page. He takes our pictures and he creates posts about where we're going.
Image
Yeah.
montage.
He is awesome with that. So it is great to have him helping me. So like when we say Henry has really stepped up for the band, we do mean it because he takes over some of the things that we do where we don't have
shucks.
time. He is awesome.
And that's in addition to being one heck of a singer and trombone player too.
I don't know how you play the trombone and sing at
Can
the
my
same time.
mom
I'm
hear-
looking
is
forward
my
to
mom
seeing
gonna
that.
get
You know, he does. He will be playing or he'll be singing and all of a sudden it's like stops and he starts playing as you know, and then he'll go back to singing. It's really pretty cool when he does it.
Damn slide gets in the way.
Oh, well. You got to live with that, huh?
Well, thank you guys. Appreciate your time and coming out and out here and visiting with us.
Well, thank you. We enjoy coming out here and doing this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Hey,
Absolutely.
where might some people be seeing you in the near future?
Well, next week Friday we're having a Christmas party at the Lockport Moose. I think it's free to members, and there may be a small cover.
Yeah, I
It
think
depends.
I think it's like $5.
It's like five.
It's like $5, but you got to get there early. The place packs up big time, and we're going to have some friends come out. A lot of times when we play public places like that, we have a lot of friends that come out and sit in and play, and it just turns into a big jam by the end of the night. And it's always a lot of fun to do that. We're
How
going
about
to
New
be
Year's Eve?
New Year's Eve. We're playing at Jameson's out in Huntley. It's a private party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
Oh, you guys got to travel now.
Yeah.
we
Nice for a
do that.
drummer.
We throw our drummer a bone because he lives out there.
He's
It makes him
always
happy,
driving.
you know. So I don't want to lose him. He's a good guy. Don't want to lose him, you know. So we got to make him happy too, though. But yeah, and then we're going to be coming back to the Joliet's Hollywood Casino. We're going to be coming back there soon. I don't know when yet. We're still getting all these dates coming up. But another thing that we do that I didn't talk about is we talked about Perry Danos earlier.
Oh, I was going to ask you about that. I noticed that Perry was on a couple of your videos.
Yes.
I saw a video with him.
Well, he's, as we all know, he's living in Nashville now.
Right.
And he's kind of, you know, he's got a star going out there and his big thing. He works with a lot of the big name people. Well, he comes back up to Chicago once a year, and he's the last couple of years he's used us as his backup band.
Okay.
So he comes out and he plays, and we learned a bunch of his stuff, plus we do a bunch of our stuff. And he'll come up for about, we'll do about maybe 5-6 gigs, and then he comes back up in fall and does a few fests that we do, the one big one in Evergreen Park. And I've got a history with Perry going back to the 90s when he had Backstreet going.
Right.
Sundance would open up for some of his shows, and I made a deal with him. I said, if you can get me, because at that time I was trying to crack into the fest circuit and the club circuit and get out of the wedding stuff I was doing. I said, Perry, if you can do that, I'll give you the horn section for free. And I was part of the horn section.
Right.
Two other guys. He says, oh man, that sounds great. Let's do it. So we do the first set. Backstreet would come out and do the second set, and then the horns would stay and we'd play as an add-on horn section for him.
Oh, I see.
And we just developed a friendship and became good friends, and we're still good friends to this day, to where now he comes up and we play with him and do concerts together. And there's been some really good shows with him because he's incredible.
Right.
He's something else.
Yeah. I know Jimmy Hood and Mike McHugh played bass with him, or played with him.
Mike Brown, you probably remember Mike Brown too,
sure,
yeah.
Brownie,
And the first couple of Perry gigs, Jimmy Hood did one of the gigs with us a year or two ago. It was our guitar player Joe couldn't make it, and Jimmy played. And Jim, as you know, Jimmy's a great guitar player.
Sure.
And the first Perry gig, we had Mike Brown play drums with us, and I just saw their original keyboard player, Myron at a wedding not too long ago.
Myron, sure.
And Myron came up and played a couple songs. So it's, in this business, the music scene in Chicago, as big as it is, it really isn't.
Right.
Everybody, like I met you
Especially
today.
the South Side guys. I've noticed. I found that out. The South Side people are kind of all intermingle and play with each other and jam together.
Oh, absolutely. Like today when I just met you, I'm like, oh my God, I remember this guy from back in the day. It all comes around. It all comes around, and that's why you have to be careful. You don't burn any bridges. In this business, we got to stick together. We got to help one another out because there's nobody else looking out for us. You know that, and that's important.
It's like a fraternity.
It is. It's like a fraternity.
Yeah.
It's like a fraternity. But we've got some Perry shows coming up in January. They're still they're still getting set up, but it'll be some of the casinos and maybe something at Bourbon Street or something like that. It's not done yet because he has a schedule down there. He plays on the General Jackson Showboat, which is a big venue down there, and he has to wait till he sees what his schedule is, and then we see what ours is. We put it together, and then we'll have something though, probably in January and February with him. In addition to things on our own too.
Right.
But go to that website, thebandsundance.com. It's got our schedule up there. It'll have dates, what we're doing, videos, everything, whatever any information you might need about the band.
Well, alrighty. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for coming out.
Thank you.
Battling the cold weather and and your colds and illnesses.
Laryngitis.
No voices. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks again for having us.
Thank you.
Well, Ray, that was fun talking with those guys. They've got some good stories, and they've been around for quite a while.
Yeah, they have. And you know what? It's like they got everything covered. I mean, they are doing weddings, they are doing festivals, they're doing clubs, private parties. I mean, there's like no stopping them.
Yes, they are. As a matter of fact, he said New Year's Eve they'll be out in Huntley at Jameson's out in Huntley. You can see them out there, and just check them out. Check out their website, and I'm sure you can find them just about anywhere.
Huntley, the Jameson's in Huntley, you say?
Yes.
That's the place that Orion Samuelson from Channel 9 goes to.
That's right. From WGN. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. Yes.
That's right. Him and his wife have the fillet of salmon or something there all the time.
Right. Maybe he'll be out there partying with them on New Year's Eve. You never know.
That's right. That'd be really cool to have Orion Samuelson at your party.
He can whoop it up, that guy, I tell you.
That's right. Yes, he can. Well, Paul, have yourself a great Christmas.
Yes, I will. Thank you. You do the same.
We'll talk to you afterwards. And everybody out there, enjoy your holidays with your families. Hope Santa's good to you.
Don't forget to share our podcast. Check it out wherever you get your podcast. You can find us
everywhere.
Just look for the Rock and Roll Chicago podcast.
That's right. And don't forget, you can find us every Monday night on the Road to Rock Radio. roadtorockradio.org, 6 o'clock Monday night. Check us out.
All right, Ray. We'll see you next week. Thanks for listening, everybody, and have a Merry Christmas.
See ya. Merry Christmas.
Chicago, rock and roll, Chicago.